The following is a presentation of the Best Station. The views and comments made in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and comments of the Best Station.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fast Pitch Game 22. I am your co-host, MC Brown.
The Master Communicator, I am Eric Wennerberg.
And the Doctor of Baseball. So, Doctor, how you doing this fine show?
I'm good. Early morning edition. I've been working late baseball games, so I'm not used to these early hours, but here we are. And you know what, MC?
And it's,
I had a great breakfast. Great breakfast. Spinato's Pizza.
Hearty breakfast
Yes.
from Spinato's. The Doctor's rip-roaring and roaring to go here, and as always, we can be reached at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. Also, give Craig Best, our great producer, a line, Facebook.com/the Best Station, and thank him for his many ads, even his dumb ads that he may place, ripping the Chicago Cubs. Yes, you may thank him as well for those. www.thebeststation.net also holds all of our shows archived, and yes, in all seriousness, thank Craig Best giving us the platform here, throwing some good comedic ads and some old time commercials in there, and just a lot of good stuff Craig throws on the show. So,
great graphics.
Big plug for Comicasters Issue 5, my other show I record. The Doctor here helped me guest host that show as well the last time.
I enjoyed that too.
Yes,
I'll be happy to be a guest anytime.
Thank you for joining us there. That can also be listened to on the Best Station and watch produced as a video as well by the great Craig Best, and that could also be found on the Best Station and link Comicasters.
That is correct.
So, definitely some good stuff from the Best Station. As always, a lot of good music there as well.
Yeah, he's got some great music up there right now.
So thank you, Craig Best. 5 weeks into the season, Doctor, what's your thoughts on the season so far? What surprises, if any, that come to your mind immediately?
Shouldn't surprise me, but I am surprised. The Cubs and White Sox running away. Cubs are playing 800 baseball. The Sox are playing 700 baseball. Meanwhile, the National League West, first place and fifth place are separated by 3 games.
I know. That's who would have thunk it?
I know, and that was supposed to be the strongest division in the National League, and a team that's 500 is in first place.
Yes. So, yeah, some good stuff happening, too, for my Chicago team. So could this be the year where we see Chicago Cubs versus Chicago White Sox in a World Series, possibly the greatest World Series of all time?
I don't know if it'd be the greatest of all time. If that happens, what are the odds? I don't know.
Definitely be the greatest World Series.
You know what happens in the postseason? It's a whole new year.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, look forward to that one. We got not a whole lot of feedback, so we're kind of disappointed in the fans this week, but we do have a couple things to discuss, obviously. But that's great. That's fine. It's great. But we can recover, Doctor, because we actually have a load of things. We have the great Jason Siler Part 2, and we got a lot of hot stuff to discuss. So, but we do want you guys to send us feedback. So definitely
send it to the Fast Pitch, please. I had a bunch of messages, a bunch of feedback. They were all to my private message box on Facebook, so I'm not going to read them all.
We had a couple weird messages sent to the Doctor by Vera, Demila, Shaniqua, some weird exotic messages being sent to the Doctor. And the Doctor is a happily taken man, so please do not send him requests to go on a date or any type of perfume-ridden letters to the Doctor as well, because he cannot accept them.
I thank you so much for that, MC. Yeah. I'm really going to be hearing about that now. Okay.
Yes, so the Doctor is a taken man. Leave him alone and send them. The only women that should be sending Doctor messages should be Casmer Girl hate mail.
Yeah.
As he normally and deservedly gets.
And I'll be in Los Angeles again this weekend doing the Cardinals-Dodgers series. Scott will be pitching on Saturday.
Speaking of Casimir, you have a report on him.
The Casimir Watch. Yes. Scott pitched a good game again. His ERA is down to 5.54 from a high of 7.71 earlier in the season.
Wow.
And I'm being honest here. He has a 2-3 record. He should be 4-1 the way he's pitched.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I won't say he was a great investment yet. I won't say he was a great investment yet, but by the All-Star break, we'll see. We'll have a good idea. He obviously listens to the Fast Pitch, and I motivate him. So, I mean, I should be getting a bonus.
You should
from the
be his
Dodgers.
life coach. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you motivate him in strange and weird ways.
I do, and I hope to interview him this week when I'm
That
there.
would be great. That would be something I think we'd all look forward to.
Uh-huh.
We want a big plug to our great former guest, Jim Campanis, Born Into Baseball. And
Born Into
that's
Baseball.
all over. Please like that page on Facebook. And if you can, get yourself a copy of this. I'm looking forward to reading this.
Big shout out to Campy for putting out this book. It's a great book.
We
I've
hope
seen
to
it.
have him on, even if for a brief interview, at least again, just to talk about the book more. I know we briefly touched upon it on our which game we talked about it with Jim was one of our early games.
One of our early ones, one of the first three.
One of the first few, for sure. We had Jim on, and we'd like to talk to him a little bit more, and hopefully will. But it is released officially, right, Doctor?
Yeah.
And please like the page, Born Into Baseball, and that's by Jim Campanis Jr.
Correct.
And I think if you order a copy, one of your early copies, you may be able to get one autographed by both Jim Jr. and Senior.
That's right. And gotta hurry though. Gotta hurry.
Yeah, there's only a limited amount of those. So, Doctor, you had some comments from a question from Corey S.
Yes. Corey asked about the Arizona Diamondbacks. Do they need to make a move in the outfield, or are they going to stick with what they've got?
So you said they're right out. Are they game out of first? Is that
they're a game out of first place. And Corey, as we record this, the Diamondbacks yesterday signed Michael Bourne, who had some good years.
Trying to set a record and play for every team in 1 year.
That's right. He just left the Blue Jays.
Yes, just I believe left the Blue Jays. I don't know if he was released or asked for his release, but
seriously, they signed him to a minor league contract. But I spoke to a Diamondbacks representative yesterday who said he'll be down there 2 weeks or so, and then if he performs, he'll be up in the majors. So someone to fill that center field spot that A.J. Pollock, is missing.
Yes, no chance of Willie Bloomquist coming out of retirement to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
No, but I'm glad you mentioned Willie. He was just yesterday also named special assistant to the Diamondbacks CEO, Derek Hall. And I want to tell you why I love Willie Bloomquist.
Yeah, please do.
Not only one of the nicest guys in baseball, when we worked for the Mariners, he was there.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know this. He's an ASU Sun Devil.
Yes.
And when he
yourself.
was there, like me, like Fernando Vina,
Yeah.
when he was there, he gave up his scholarship so that his teammate Andrew Beinbrink could stay. Andrew didn't have a full ride. He did that for two reasons. His parents could afford to pay his tuition, Mr. and Mrs. Bloomquist, and they were putting together a team to make it to the College World Series, and Beinbrink was a key member. So Willie Bloomquist,
magnanimous thing to do.
yeah, the class act. He's a class guy. He's one of the greatest guys to ever grace the baseball diamond. So.
Well, that's good. That I think that's just good for baseball to have him back in there, and he's with his home. Is he from here now?
No, he's from Seattle, but he spent many of his later years with the Diamondbacks and was one of the most clutch hitters they had.
But he, that's pretty cool. So he went to school at ASU
Sun Devil.
Actually, so he came from what was his college he could have went to in.
He could have gone to the University of Washington. He had scholarship offers all over the place. USC.
That's amazing. So he came back full circle. Was working with the Diamondbacks, and good dude. From everything you said, that's
big shout out to Willie. He was
cool,
also a big influence on my son when he was a young teenager.
Would be nice
was one
maybe
of the guys.
to get him as a guest on the Fast Pitch.
I think we can pull that off.
Might be able to do that. Yeah, so that's cool. So we obviously got a big show ahead, and like I said, we want to thank the feedback we did get from there. Again, please send any messages to the Fast Pitch page, actually, or go to Twitter and tweet us a direct message. We can definitely hold your privacy and read it under whatever assumed name you want to give us there too as well. So as always, at the Fast Pitch MLB there, or Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. Do not send the doctor messages. He is a busy man and he cannot read all of them.
That's right. I've been getting 20 a week, MC, and I do not have the time, unfortunately.
He's busy with MLB radio in all seriousness. So if you want it to be read, please send it to the Fast Pitch. We do have secretaries that will go through them. We have interns that will actually go through them and
here
do
at the
the
Best
work.
Station Studios, they can do that for us.
Yeah, they can go Craig Best. Hopefully we could shuffle some to Craig if he's not busy creating ads to attack the Chicago Cubs. So
I liked that.
Yeah, no, of course you would. But we're going to get right into business. We got in the first third of the show, Doctor, we're going to go into two of our great regular segments. We're actually going to bring this day in baseball up to the forefront of the show. So we got a lot of good stuff on this one. So.
On this particular date, there's some great ones.
Yes, definitely. So let's do it. Okay, Doctor, this day in baseball.
I know you can't wait till we go live so they can see me
the
bust a
doctor
move here.
Could be dancing right in front of your own eyes in potential rumors that we may indeed be taking a fast pitch live. So, but that's for another time, Doctor. We're going to rewind and turn back the clock here on this day in baseball. Thank you to the sounds of this week in baseball, TWIB, for the beautiful introduction here. We're going to rewind and turn back the clock, Doctor, to May 11th. And this day in baseball, we're going to go all the way back to 1904 for the first one. After 23 innings of pitching no-hit baseball, Cy Young streak ends. The stretch includes 6 innings today, 2 innings April 25th, 6 on April 30th, and the perfect game against the A's on May 5th.
Cy
What
Young.
a stretch, right?
Yeah, he had no pitch counts. Let me add that.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Fast forwarding here, we have established. This is a little bit of a thing I didn't know. In 1923, established. This is a Pacific Coast League mark, but still professional baseball. 1923, establishing several Pacific Coast League marks. Doctor, get this: Pete Schneider hits 5 home runs and a double, driving in 14 runs as Vernon routs Salt Lake City 35-11. Can you believe that?
What's his name, Pete?
Schneider.
Pete Schneider. That is a name to remember. 5 home runs and a double in one game.
That is ridiculous.
That's 22 total bases in one game.
I cannot believe that. That is amazing. I did not know that.
Good baseball in the Coast League.
Yes, definitely. 1932, Doctor. This is another weird stat. 8th grader Joe Schultz Jr. singles, swipes 2 bases, and scores as a pinch hitter in a Texas League game. The 14-year-old is the son of the manager and will become a second-string catcher in the major leagues. Look at that.
Joe Schultz. He also
Schultz
managed
Jr.
the Seattle Pilots during their 1 year in 1969.
Really?
Yes,
Wow,
he did.
look at that.
But he was an 8th grader playing baseball.
Yes, 8th grader, son of the manager. That is amazing. A couple things I didn't know. 1949, the White Sox beat the Red Sox 12-8, scoring in every inning of the Comiskey Park contest. A team tally in every frame has occurred only 5 times in American League history.
That's pretty amazing,
That
too.
is
I didn't know
amazing.
that.
Yeah, that was a very cool stat there. 1950, you're going to love this, Doctor. 1950, after the fans boo him for misplaying a ball, Ted Williams makes an inappropriate gesture 3 times, once to left, once to center, once to right, to the Red Sox fans sitting in the outfield stands.
Fenway Park.
Yes, during his next at-bat, as the booing continues, the splendid splinter becomes the splendid spitter as Williams steps out of the box to spit at fans to show his displeasure. Wow.
You know, my favorite player of all time, Ted Williams. And when he did that spitting incident, the press in Boston referred to it as great expectorations.
Yes, he is what we would call a heel in the wrestling business, for
In
sure.
the wrestling business, but in Major League Baseball, nobody liked Teddy Ballgame.
Yeah, well, that's would still
The last
be
one to hit
that
400.
would still be a heel in Major League Baseball. Yeah, we posted a thing on the fast pitch page of fans' most disliked players. He probably would have been up there.
Well, the fans loved him, though. It was the press. You know who the most disliked player is in Los Angeles right now? Andre Ethier.
Andre
Just
Ethier.
mentioning that.
Yes, just to turn it to Los Angeles out of nowhere there. I would think Chase Utley would still be.
No, Chase is popular.
Yeah. 1955, with the help of Ernie Banks' grand slam, Chicago snaps Brooklyn's 11-game winning streak. Speaking of Dodgers, 10-8. The bases-filled homer will be Mr. Cub's first of 5 on the year. 5 grand slams in 1 year.
Amazing.
Only Mr. Cub would be capable of doing something like that. 1962, Minnie Minoso suffers a fractured skull and breaks his wrist when he runs into the left field wall, chasing Duke Snyder's triple in the Cardinals' 8-5 loss to LA at Busch Stadium. The St. Louis outfielder will return to the lineup in mid-July, only to have a bone in his forearm broken when he is hit by a pitch thrown by Craig Anderson of the Mets a month later. So, wow, some tough luck
Tough
for Minnie
year
there.
for Minnie. That he should have just sat it out.
Should we put marshmallow on the walls of the stadiums here, Doctor, with safety?
Nowadays, yes.
Nowadays, yeah, that's going to come.
And now they have a
Somebody
warning
runs into the
signal
wall.
when you get close to the marshmallow.
Or something like beeping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just put net there, right? So they just run into a net?
Run into a net and come flying back.
Safety
Yeah.
netty? Doctor, I'm not a huge fan of safety in baseball.
I don't want to call it I won't say what I was going to say. Go ahead, MC.
Okay. 1963, you'll love this one, Doctor. Sandy Koufax takes a perfect game into the 8th inning before walking Ed Bailey on a 3-2 pitch, but will finish the Dodger Stadium contest with the second of 4 career no-hitters, blanking the Giants 8-0. The LA Southpaw beats San Francisco ace Juan Marichal, who will also author a no-hitter next month.
Juan Marichal. Let me mention something about that game.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know. The last out in that game, last out in that game was Harvey Keene.
Yes.
Struck out. 2 years later, when Koufax pitched a perfect game, the last out was Harvey Keene, who was with the Cubs, who also struck out for the last out.
That's crazy. And you've met Harvey Keene.
I knew Harvey Keene very well. You know what he told me about that?
What?
Those 2 games, he said all the players were doing was going up to home plate and trying not to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Koufax was untouchable those games.
Yeah, anybody that's seen those pictures, you giving first-hand account, you just said that's like a once-in-a-lifetime picture, right? Yeah, for sure. Fast forwarding, Doctor, 1972, the cash-strapped Giants, after promising the club would never trade him, sent Willie Mays to New York, the city where he began his Hall of Fame career in 1951, for right-hander Charlie Williams and $50,000 cash. The San Francisco owner, Horace Stoneham, who could not guarantee his aging superstar an income after the outfielder retired, extracts a promise from the Mets that they will pay the Say Hey Kid $50,000 a year for the 10 years after the future Hall of Famer stops playing.
I remember
a great
that
gesture,
happened.
at least.
It was a great gesture, but think about that: $50,000 a year for Willie Mays. Think about that in today's standards.
Willie Mays would be a millionaire, and that's
billionaire, probably.
Yeah, probably. This is a funny story, Doctor. 1977, trying to snap the Braves' 16-game losing streak, Ted Turner, the team's owner, takes over as field manager. The skid continues as Atlanta is defeated by the Pirates 2-1. Hey, he almost won. And National League President Chub Feeney informs the new skipper he cannot manage again because of the rule which prohibits a manager from owning a financial stake in the club.
Only Ted Turner.
Only Ted Turner. This is another cool thing. Check this out, Doctor. In 1980, in the top of the 7th inning, the Phillies leadoff batter Pete Rose steals home after swiping second base and third base to become the first National League player in 52 years to complete the stolen base cycle in one frame. In 1928, Brooklyn's Harvey Hendrick accomplished the feat in the 8th inning of an Ebbets Field contest against Chicago. That's an amazing feat, for sure.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
Recently? Do you know who did it in 2013? Stole second base and then home during the same at-bat in one of his first games in the major leagues?
D. Gordon?
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
He got hit by a pitch by Cole Hamels, intentionally hit by a pitch. He stole second, was moved to third on a grounder, and stole home, and blew a kiss at Hamels as he crossed home plate.
Oh, wow.
Bryce Harper, already making a name for himself.
Can he steal third, too? That's just something we'd like to see. 1991, after this is... probably would not be approved by Commissioner Rob Manfred in this day and age. After a heckler calls him Joey, a name he dislikes, and makes references to his problems with alcohol, Albert Bell responds by picking up a foul ball and nailing the offensive offender in the chest from 15 feet away. Although the fans clearly supported his action, the Indians outfielder is fined and suspended for 1 week.
Albert Bell had anger problems. I'm telling you that. Do you remember when he slid into second base, but he didn't slide? He threw a football block at Fernando Vina.
That was pretty crazy.
Okay, but they didn't change the rule over it.
Yeah,
everyone just said, okay, he's kicked out of the game. Okay, Chase Utley never did anything like that.
Was he suspended too after just?
I can't remember. I think he probably was, but still.
Yeah.
And Fernando Vina is half Albert Bell's size.
Albert Bell definitely had some anger issues there. Can you imagine? I wouldn't want to be heckling any Major League ball player. The way they can throw those cannons right and to throw it right at your chest.
Yeah.
Not smart. We're winding down here, Doctor. 1996 on speaking of ridiculous situations, on 1996 on John Franco Day, the New York veteran relievers ejected from the game along with 8 other players as a result of participating in a 5th inning bench clearing brawl at Shea Stadium. Prior to the game, the Mets celebrated their closer's recent 300th career save, but his unavailability in the 9th leads to 3 hurlers combining to give up the tying runs in the team's eventual 7-6 walk-off victory over Chicago. So maybe he shouldn't have got ejected. He would have got a save there.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a YouTube of that fight. It's probably up there.
We'll have to put that on the Fast Pitch page as well. 1998, striking out 13 Diamondbacks Cubs. Kerry Wood sets a major league record for strikeouts in consecutive games with 33 in 2 games. That is amazing.
Man, that guy. Too bad his career was cut short.
Yes, the previous record for strikeouts, 32 in 2 starts, was held by multiple pitchers. 1999, for the first time this century, 2 major league starting pitchers share the same name as Bobby M. Jones, best right-hander Bobby J. Jones of the Mets. That is something that does not happen very often.
No, and you know what? I'm going to sleep better knowing that one.
Yeah,
MC.
I know. I did that just for you.
Thank you.
2004, Pittsburgh city officials and historians release a 1791 document that they believe is the earliest written reference to baseball. The 213-year-old bylaw used to protect the windows of the town's new meeting house by prohibiting anyone from playing baseball within 80 yards of the building was uncovered by baseball historian John Thorne while doing research on the origins of baseball. 1791, Doctor.
Wow.
That is some old stuff there. Well, last couple here, Doc. 2006, Hideki Matsui's streak of playing in every game since starting his MLB career with the Yankees in 2003 ends at 518 games as the left fielder breaks his left wrist attempting to make a diving catch. The 31-year-old Japanese star establishes the big league record for consecutive games to start a career, surpassing Hall of Fame infielder Ernie Banks, who played 424 contests at the start of his playing days with the Cubs from 53 to 56. That's a tough way to end your streak.
Yes, it is. Can I mention something about Japanese hitters in America?
Sure.
Ichiro Suzuki is 11 hits away from 3,000 here, but 2 weeks ago he passed Pete Rose's hit total. So Ichiro is...
If you were counting Japanese stats.
Anyone with sense will.
Well, anybody named you will.
Ray Noriega is with me.
You and Ray. 2012, finally, Doctor. The Mets play their 8,000th game in franchise history, dropping a 6-5 decision to Miami when closer Frank Francisco allows the dying and winning runs to score at the bottom of the ninth. So during the 1,000th game span, the Amazons have compiled a 515-485 record at that time in 2012. So
that is pretty interesting.
That is amazing, 8,000 games. So
a name you mentioned there. Frank Francisco, do you remember what he is infamous for? He's the one that during spring training at Peoria Stadium, he was pitching for the Rangers.
Yes.
He was heckled by a fan and picked up a chair and threw it and hit the wrong person.
I remember that now, yes. That was pretty crazy. Speaking of our ball whipping balls at fans, look at this guy, Frank Francisco.
Throws a chair up there and hits the wrong person. We were there at Peoria Stadium.
Not good. I mean, those are suspensions that probably need to happen at length, too.
If that happened today, he'd be out for a while.
Anger issues there, so... we're going to be going to our station break here shortly because we still got some stuff to come back with our news, and we'll do our fast pitch feud when we return from that. So we're going to lead right into the Who Am I, Doctor?
Who am I?
Who Am I is and we're going to be...
I'm looking forward to this one this week, MC.
Yeah, so this is going to be good stuff here, Doctor.
I get a lot of feedback on the Who Am I. People like it, people love it, just like the fast pitch feud and our fantasy baseball update.
So we're going to give you some clues here, as we normally do on this Who Am I? So, I've played for 8 Major League teams in my 18-year career. The Chicago Cubs, the Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinals, New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, California Angels, Cincinnati Reds, and Montreal Expos.
That's quite a list.
Yes, for sure. I am a 7-time All-Star, a 3-time Rural AIDS Relief Man Award winner, and a 4-time season saves leader.
So this is a closer.
Oh, yes. I hold the MLB record for games finished at 802, and I held the 478 all-time Major League record for saves until 1993 until 2006. When Trevor Hoffman surpassed me. My record held from 1993 to 2006.
That's impressive, and I can't guess who this is.
Who am I? We will find out when we return. You are listening to thebeststation.net, home of the best station, the best music, for the best audience. Now featuring the best podcasts for the best audience. With such podcasts as The Fast Pitch, starring MC Brown and Dr. Eric Lenneberg, covering any and all related MLB news and current events. And now featuring The Comic Casters, starring MC Brown, Colt Hudson, and Derek Ross. On location for comic book conventions, reviewing comic book trades and collections, and anything and all related comic book movies, news, and events. This is a presentation of thebeststation.net. The best station, the best music, for the best audience.
Got all of that one, didn't he? Aye.
You got all of that one.
Yeah, I did.
guess I got all that one.
Prince Fielder, epic power.
This is a great party!
Welcome to my weekend chalet!
Aren't you going to introduce me? Hello. Good morning, Pumpkin. Aw.
Amazing.
Old Milwaukee beer, because your morning beer should never remind you of yesterday.
Are you working out but getting no results? Tried fruits and vegetables but no growth? The revolutionary Ryan Braun Juicer can now be yours for just $19.99. And if you order today, 2 Ryan Braun Juicers. Free shipping with this password. CBEST. See best. And the Ryan Braun Juicer is yours.
And we are back on the Fast Pitch Game 22. I heard a rumor that our great producer Craig Best is going to buy 3 of those juicers for all of us. So, or maybe 4. He'll get 4,
and let's see if they work.
Yes, I know.
If I go to the batting cage and start hitting bombs, we'll know they work.
I know. Craig, we need you to buy us some juicers. Here we are with the Who Am I reveal. And this is one of the most amazing pitchers in the game, Doctor. There's none other than the great, at one time, all-time saves leader until Trevor Hoffman beat him, Lee Smith.
Lee Smith, a great reliever.
Lee Smith
he was dominating for that 6 or 7 year period.
Yeah, and just to give you some of these stats on the big man here, one of the biggest pitchers in baseball you'd see, intimidating, 6'6". This he started his MLB career in 1975. He was drafted by the Chicago Cubs, and he played. Of course, for those same Cubs, and all the way from 80 to 87. And, he went on to play for all those great teams, Red Sox, Cardinals, Yankees, Orioles, Angels.
He had a very intimidating glare when he was on the mound. The only person I've ever seen with more intimidating glare was Dave Stewart with the A's.
Yeah, just some incredible stats there. It's like the 802 games finished. Yeah, so he still holds the Cubs record of saves, 180. So, yeah, definitely one of the great players in the game, Lee Smith. Is our Who Am I? So we're going to jump right into the Fast Pitch Feud, which we could not fit in on the first third of our show, Doctor. So, this I know is one of the most popular,
very popular
segments, and we're going to jump right into it, Doctor.
Here we go.
Okay, Doctor. So we're going to jump right into it here, and we're going to run down the last week as we revealed the 3 questions, and we'll do the number 1 answers.
Okay.
And then we'll reveal, our great listeners.
I was surprised
who
too
participated.
when I saw some of these answers.
And so this is going to be some good stuff here. So we have, unfortunately, we didn't have as many participants, which was disappointing. But Chuck isn't winning by default, so thankfully we do have...
Can I mention here, too, I had a couple people who are not on Facebook respond and by sending me texts, and you need to comment either on YouTube or our Facebook page. If you're not on Facebook, that's fine, but you watch it and listen on YouTube, put your comments there. We'll add them up.
Yeah. If you are commenting on YouTube saying you're not on the social media part, just do a comment on YouTube.
Right.
That's all. All it does is require, in most, I think, to do anything, even like it, I think you have to be registered.
Yes.
So hopefully you're liking our video if you're watching the link through Craig, of course, on YouTube. And all you need to do is just make sure you're registered. Obviously, prove your
And we'll read your
age.
comments.
And and we'll do that, and we'll get your official results there too. So we don't mind doing that. That's through our great producer Craig Best's YouTube. So yeah, please do, because we only have 2 entries this week. Thankfully, Chuck didn't win by default. So Doctor, we're going to jump right into it. So one of the first questions we had, and 2 of these are derivative of our great listener and winner, Chuck Boyer.
Yes.
And he had some great ones, and we tried to field some other ones there. And if we can, some of the suggestions we can't use, but if we can, we'll turn. If you win the Fast Pitch Feud, we'll turn one of your questions, if at all possible, into a future one.
Yes.
So, and I don't want to make that guarantee, but we will try. So, first one, Doctor, and this is a very diverse one here. We had name a baseball movie.
I wasn't surprised it was diverse, but I'm surprised at some of the answers.
I know. So the number 1 answer is a tie. We had Bull Durham and The Sandlot. So there's a tie.
2 very different movies, too.
Yeah, definitely. There was a tie for that. The second one, name a player on the Seattle Mariners, past or present. Who would you have said?
I would have said Kenny G. Jr.
Ken Griffey Jr. is the number 1 answer at, so whoever guessed them will get a whooping total there. And name number 3, name the most exciting play out of the following: steal of home, inside the park homer, or triple play. Doctor, what do you think is the most exciting play out of those 3?
I lean towards the inside the park homer. You don't see it very often.
That's true. But stealing home is the number 1 answer.
Stealing home, okay.
So here it is. We got Chuck Boyer, the great Chuck Boyer. And we'll have to get Chuck's answer.
Chuck won again?
No, we're gonna go. We got actually Chuck and our great listener Zachary L. are the 2 participants in here. And I want to get Chuck's actual answers pulled up here and not just give his point total, because he'll cry recount. So Chuck answered Major League. He only got a point for that, so only one of the great people surveyed said Major League.
I would have said Pride of the Yankees myself.
I agree. Nobody said that.
I would have.
Yeah, you would have. Chuck, I agree with you. I would have said Major League
Gary Cooper
too. It's one of my favorite baseball movies, but only got you 1 point. Chuck said Ichiro.
That's a great answer, and I know that Chuck agrees with me that Ichiro's hits from Japan count.
Don't know about that, but he did say Ichiro. I only got him 1 point, sorry, Chuck. And then inside the park homer, Chuck, actually, Chuck finishes with 3 points.
3 points.
So, Chuck, you were not on the ball this time. I apologize to you. You're not going to win this time, Chuck. Zachary L., and we're going to find out why. Zachary L. said Rookie of the Year is a baseball movie.
Okay.
Big X. Sorry, Zachary L. Nobody said that. But Zach said Ken Griffey Jr. He got 5 big whooping points for that. Zach did not say the number 1 answer of stealing home, but he did say triple play. Zach finishes with 7, so Zach will win a great prize.
Zach wins again.
And
it's the Seattle Mariners
time Zachary
related prize.
And Zach, you will win a special prize, Seattle Mariners. So we want to encourage more people to actually play this and actually put in not just survey answers. Obviously, we got that covered. We want your answers to try to win a great prize.
Let me just mention, too, Chuck has won a lot of prizes here, and Chuck, just so you know, I'm getting the 18-wheeler ready with all of your prizes in the back, and I'll be rolling it up to your house soon.
Yes, so Chuck is not the winner this week, but he has won a lot. So
yes,
the doctor will deliver
man.
these. Yeah, Chuck is a great man and great listener, and we appreciate his participating in this all the time. So thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Zachary L. Zach will win a great Seattle Mariners related prize that the doctor is sorting out here, so we will get that to him. We know how to get a hold of him. So we're going to tell all you great listeners the next 3 for next show. So here it is. Get your pen and paper ready. Number 1, if you are a GM of an expansion team, name the first position you are drafting.
Good question. I know what I would do, but I'm not saying.
Number 2, when you think Chicago Cubs, past or present, name a player. Could have been one of the gentlemen from Who Am I?
Could be. And also, I want to mention,
leader.
we're a little top-heavy on Chicago Cubs news this week, but I'm sure that'll pass.
Maybe. If Craig Best has a way to go. Number 3, finally, besides the strikeout, name another way to get a player out.
Good question. We're going to get different answers on that.
We're definitely going to get some other answers, so we'll look forward to that, Doctor. So, good stuff this week. So, we encourage you all to play, as we said. Go to the Fast Pitch page on Facebook.com/ the Fast Pitch, and you can do it on YouTube. We've told the people who are not on Facebook or finding different ways to listen to it, let us know so publicly we can get some record of these on there so they don't believe that we are just, that Chuck Boyer is not a real human. He is. And
we're not discriminating if you don't have Facebook.
Yeah, so we'll try to give you different options to do it, but please put it somewhere publicly so we can do it. Doctor, we got some big news in there to get into now for this second
Let's do it.
Part of our show. So some retro news. We failed to mention last show. A couple of the players are out for the year. Pablo Sandoval is unfortunately season-ending injury, shoulder injury.
And you know, I heard that he injured it off the field. I heard that he was lifting too many cases of donuts to carry into his house, and he burned his shoulder. Didn't he have
a donut shop in the first ad of our show?
Yeah, we did an ad earlier in the season for Pablo's Donuts.
Do you think? Let me throw a question out to you. Do you think the Red Sox will miss him?
I do not.
Yeah,
I do not.
They're doing pretty good right now, and sad news for any player to go down.
Yeah, all seriousness.
Yeah, jokes aside. Yeah, so Pablo's out for the season. Also, Devin Mesoraco is also out to the DL with the torn labrum in his left shoulder.
Devin has had a lot of injuries in his career.
Last year was after coming off of a great 2014 season. Last year was a very injury-plagued year for him, and this year is no different as he is out now for the year with a torn labrum. That's sad, unfortunate news for the Reds. J.J. Hardy out 4 to 8 weeks with a fractured foot.
And they didn't know at first what it was. Hardy said that he played the entire 2015 season with a torn labrum.
Wow.
So he's been playing through some injuries.
Extremely painful for him, yeah.
Right.
Some other news, transactions, very just briefly here. As we mentioned in the top part of the show, Michael Bourne is signed with the Diamondbacks. He's making it a point to make our newswire every show. He is signed with the Blue Jays last show. He's now on the Diamondbacks. Angels acquired Brendan Ryan from the Nats for cash, and the reason why they did that was because Andre Elton Simmons, mentioning another injury, is out with thumb surgery. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. And we also failed to mention, I don't know if this was happening at the same time. We knew he was injured, but it was revealed that Garrett Richards is now lost for the year as well.
Yeah, that's a big blow to the Angels, and
Tommy
they are
John
struggling.
Surgery. And what do you think is happening, Doctor? Why do you think there's too many injuries? Do you believe it's the conditioning of these? Do you think they're working out too much? Do you think that
could be.
They're limiting too much and they're not, because you had mentioned this in the past that maybe the pitch counts could be hurting the pitchers?
I believe it is.
Think?
When it comes to the pitchers, I believe it hurts.
Yeah, but we also see a lot of injuries to position players.
And that is surprising to me, especially with the updated workouts they do. As you know, I know one strength coach very well, and also R.J. Geyer, the national strength coach.
Your son.
My son
was involved in that too. So I mean, it would be cool to get his thoughts on it. Maybe we can possibly get him as a guest because he would know all about that type of conditioning.
He's going to be in the same city as us soon, so I'll see what I can do.
That would be interesting just to get his thoughts on what on conditioning and stuff, and what he thinks maybe could help some of these players. That would be a fascinating, I think, thing to discuss with him. He would know because he definitely has the knowledge and things. So maybe we can make that happen.
It's funny you mentioned that as a little segue. He was Pablo Sandoval's personal trainer after the 2011 season. Pablo got in great shape, was a World Series MVP.
It was his best year, right?
Right, and then his personal trainer took a job with the Colorado Rockies, and that was it for Pablo. And he's been ballooning up ever since.
So perhaps the insight we need is under our noses here. So that would be great. Well, we don't want to put you on the spot, but hopefully that could happen. But some other big news: Steven Strasburg signs an pretty big contract extension with.
What did you tell me he makes in 1 year now? 45.
I believe that might be the last year of his contract, but he signed a $175 million contract. He's to get $15 million a year. There's out clauses, obviously, and then they keep getting these in the deal, but falls short of the 200 mark that Scherzer and Price made, and Max Scherzer and David Price. So he's got a pretty big deal that I think will spread some of his money out at the last 10 years.
At the end, Now, the thing is, and as you know, and as our listeners know, I am all for the big salaries in Major League Baseball. But let me ask you,
it's insane.
MC,
yes.
Who is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball right now, hands down?
I think Jake Arrieta has got to be in the discussion.
He's in the discussion, but let's say for the last 5 years.
Oh, if you're talking over the course of 5 years, you definitely have to put Clayton Kershaw at the top of that list.
And that money that Strasburg is making is twice what Kershaw makes.
By money, you're going to say that Scherzer and Price are the highest paid
Yeah, but
pitchers.
the highest paid is not necessarily the best.
No,
Kershaw is
true.
acknowledged right now as the best, and you're right. Arrieta's right up there with him, but
Arrieta, obviously, currently in the game, I would say is the number one pitcher.
yeah, well, Kershaw's right there. Kershaw happens to pitch for the Dodgers, and let me give you an example of how he has to win. I was there a week ago yesterday. He pitched a 2-hit shutout and drove in the only run of the game to win 1-0.
Do it himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Kershaw makes half what Strasburg makes, please.
That's probably not a good thing.
No.
If I was Kershaw, I wouldn't be happy with that.
I'll find out. I'll talk to him.
Yeah, hopefully he will. If it was Zach Greinke, he would just snub you and
Yes, he would
give you Ferguson
push me
Jacob
down and
type
kick me.
stairs.
Fergie.
Speaking of pitchers, this is great. Bartolo Colon at 43 became the oldest player to hit his first major league home run, and we posted this on the Fast Pitch page.
Yeah, that
on
was a
Facebook.
great video.
Randy Johnson at 40 years old was the last one to do it. Get some stats here that I posted as well. Jack Quinn is the oldest pitcher to hit a home run at 46 years and 357 days.
Oh, my goodness.
And Julio Franco holds the record for oldest player to hit it at 48 years and 254 days.
Franco, there's
Believing that is his real age and all.
Yeah,
joking.
we know he was older.
We have no idea, but yeah, that's been always a long time rumor and hilarity of that.
Cologne's, what a home run trot he took, too. And,
Right?
but it goes to show you, MC, conditioning isn't everything. The longer you're in the major leagues and the heavier you get, you're going to hit a home run, and Bartolo proved that.
Bartolo definitely surprised a lot of people with that.
I like the Mets' reaction,
Yeah, I know. I was
too. They
gonna
ran out of there,
mention
left the dugout empty.
Yes, yeah. So that seems to be the nice gag they do on some of the first home runs in there. Sad news, and we seem to be reporting these every show, Doctor. Raul Mondesi Jr., great young player with the Royals, 50-game suspension for PED. This is following the heels of multiple suspensions. Chris Colabello, D. Gordon.
You're right. It seems like every week we have one.
And it's not just that. We had suspensions of Jose Reyes still, I think, is in a paid suspension.
His trial is on.
We believe he's going to be suspended, obviously. And then, ironically enough, on the opposite end, Aroldis Chapman returned, and we got to save on his first immediately. So here's the questions that we wanted to do on this hot topic discussion, Doctor. Do you believe these suspensions are too short, too long? Are they not severe enough?
They're not severe enough. They are too short. I believe a suspension for domestic abuse, domestic violence in Major League Baseball, I believe it warrants a 1-year suspension, 162 games.
If you are convicted of a that type of
I'm going to jail
thing.
if I'm convicted of that, and I think the player should serve time.
The player,
they can do it in the off season, but they should serve time.
This is a black eye on Major League Baseball. There's no question,
and it's getting
about
worse. And I'm really sick about it. We talked about this when Chapman was first suspended. We were hoping that was the last time we'd have to talk about it.
I mean, to Chapman's credit, he did not appeal this.
He did not. He admitted that he was culpable. He served his time, and he's back. And he is back by the Major League rule. He's suspended 30 games.
So you would have said, though, Chapman should have been suspended
for a year.
Even though he wasn't convicted of anything, you still think his name attached to it should suspend him.
And saying that he did it and saying he was wrong. He admitted it, and I believe it warrants a 162-game suspension, and Bryce Harper agrees with me.
I think he should have been probably maybe fined, but maybe not. He wasn't convicted of anything.
Okay, but look at this, MC. A fine.
I don't agree with, don't get me wrong, I don't condone any of the actions.
Yeah, not at all.
Obviously, he wasn't convicted, though. So, where does this end? Like, just your name and suspicion, maybe somebody's lying. We see this all the time. But he admitted he was wrong. Yeah, he did. But, you're talking about what if there's a misunderstanding? You're still going to get a 30-game thing. Maybe somebody is fabricating something.
No.
Right.
Remember, Yasiel Puig's name was brought up.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right.
So he was exonerated.
Right. So no penalty. But if you're
we were accused by one of the other.
Yeah,
we had another
the listener, Yasiel Felipe, accused us of dirtying his name. We did not do that. We reported that he was exonerated.
Yeah, Yasiel Felipe, if that was really his name. Another Yasiel. Yes, we do not put Yasiel Puig's name in this. He was exonerated and he didn't serve any time. So hopefully if the investigation from Major League Baseball is honest and just, they don't just levy these suspensions.
They're not going to do that. But the thing about a fine, think about this. If Chapman was fined, how much are you going to fine him? $1 million? He makes $30 million a year. Is he going to care about that? No, a fine doesn't matter.
You have to do a severe fine.
Severe fine, better be severe.
Hit him in the pocketbook for just being around this thing. This is just
I'd go with
30
that.
30 days is a lot of games. That's also a lot of money he lost too for the 30 games.
Too bad. 162-game suspension is what it warrants. And believe me, if it was up to me, they wouldn't be back.
But he wasn't, like I said, whatever happened, he owned up to it and stuff too. But They said he's not convicted of it. So I mean, you're also saying, hey, if you're the commissioner, you would suspend Chapman for the whole year.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to Chapman's credit, he did man up to
right. And again,
whatever
we
happened.
disagree on this, you and I, but we do not condone it one bit.
No, I do not condone.
Not
it.
at all.
I mean, if somebody's convicted without question, I mean, you'd be lucky if he gets back in the game.
That's coming with Jose Reyes, from what I've seen of the trial.
Unfortunately, yeah, and he's been replaced not only on the field, but more importantly, he'll be lucky to get back in baseball in general.
At all.
Because who would want somebody on their team that is doing this? Mm-hmm. Nobody, certainly in their right mind, who owns a team would want a player.
And if he is convicted, whether he gets probation or not, a convicted player convicted of a felony is not allowed to play Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that is not going to be good for any player involved in that. So we want to see these suspensions just be disappearing as far as the actions go. Obviously, the actions need to be cleaned up.
This is not something we want to talk about.
From be it PD, from abuse, whatever abuse is going on that's leading these suspensions. I don't care if it's domestic abuse, if it's abusing the drug policy, whatever happens. Baseball has got a lot of players, obviously minor league and major league players. Keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
Keep your concentrate on what's important and playing the game the right way. So this is unfortunate. We can't stress this enough. We don't take any joy in reporting these things because this is very disappointing to all of us.
No, we don't. And we're doing our show preparation. It's something we're discussing.
We have to report it.
Yeah, we have to.
This is news in baseball, but
we're sick when we see it.
It is sickening for sure. No question about that. So, Doctor, we're going to be going to our next station break. We're going to a big plug for our guest,
Jason Siler.
Part two. So just give us back up to speed on this gentleman, his credentials. We'll talk a little bit about
Jason,
what he
who was a star
year.
at Murray State University, and he played in Europe for a few years and coached in Europe, and he has some great stories about his time in Europe.
Yeah, I particularly was laughing at the one where the player, the European player, I think it was
Germany,
German player did not want to leave the bag. So you might want to listen to that from game 21 if you haven't, and then come back and listen to part 2. We're going to be going to our next station break, and when we return, it will be part 2 of the great interview the Doctor of Baseball had conducted with Jason Siler.
The Fast Pitch will return in just one moment.
I step off the train, walking down your street again and past your door, but you don't live there anymore. It's years since you've been there, and now you disappeared somewhere like out of space. You found some better place, and I miss you like the deserts miss the rain, and I miss you.
Champ, you're in great shape.
Yogi, I like to keep fit. Work out every day, gym, road work.
What do you eat to keep yourself going?
I always eat Puss in Boots, fish flavor or meat flavor. And Puss in Boots is a complete diet. Vitamins, proteins, everything us athletes need to keep in shape.
After all, who knows more about cats than Puss in Boots?
Some of y'all never been down south too much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this so that you understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, we are back here at the Fast Pitch MLB with our special guest, Jason Siler. And Jason, in Europe, some of the rules are different than American baseball, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not so much that they're different. They try to play the best by the major league rules, but then their level isn't that high.
Right.
And so like there might be wooden bats versus metal bats and stuff like that. But let's say if a team can only play 2 foreigners in a game at the same time,
right,
and they can't be the pitcher and the catcher,
okay,
right, and that varied throughout the different leagues in Europe. So you would have, like, I would pitch the first game, even though I wasn't a pitcher. I would come in, I would pitch the first game of the tournament, and then the next 2 games, a foreigner could only pitch 2 innings in those games. So then I would close the next 2 games if we needed it, right? And so then, of course, my arm would be hanging till like Wednesday or so after about 3 or 4 days later, and then that next weekend I'd pitch a complete game, extra innings, whatever it took, right? And then I would close out the games, and then they had the speed up rules and different things like that. But yeah, from league to league, it always varied a little bit, and there was always special things that foreigners could do, or when they could play, stuff like that.
One of the big differences, and you and I talked about this off the air, when we played, it was a chess game, like between the pitcher and the hitter, and where fielders are stationed. Were they at all familiar with that kind of thing in Europe?
No, it was basically like they knew where the players were supposed to be at on the field, and they knew what a curveball was and a slider, but they often didn't know when was a good time to throw it, or when was a good time for the third baseman to play really far off the line, and that kind of stuff. The third baseman kind of played in the same spot every time,
right?
And there were a few guys. It wasn't always like that. There were a few guys that were better and knew a little bit more. But in Sweden, I had a national team pitcher for Sweden that was on our team. Big, tall righty, threw about 88 mile an hour fastball. Decent. He could have been a good college player. And I'm catching, and I tell him, hey, listen, we got 2 strikes on this guy. Throw the slider in the dirt. And he's just like, what do you mean in the dirt? And I'm like, throw it in the dirt on purpose. He's like, but if you miss it, they're going to go to first base. I'm like, I'm not going to miss it. This is how the game works. And then we struck out like 8 batters that game on a slider in the dirt. And it blew his mind to throw the ball in the dirt on purpose.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff. Bunting in the wrong situations, not knowing which count to steal on, or that kind of stuff, or what was even a good time to steal, or a good time to try to get a triple out of a triple out of a double.
Right.
They would take stupid risks like that and get us out of an inning. And you're like, what are you doing? We had our number 3 hitter up after you, and you're out at third base in the end of the inning. What are you doing? And so it was a lot of that, and I think that's where a lot of the clubs, that and the practice situation. I kind of mentioned that earlier. They didn't know how to practice. They didn't know how to get anything done. They would take a basic batting practice, and they would take some ground balls, and then they'd be like, okay, we had a practice today. But I would specifically break down the swing. I would have them do small things, and that would all add up to them getting a lot done. And I was a very, very disciplined coach there, where they had to hustle. They had to get stuff done, and it didn't matter if the best player on the team didn't hustle. Then I took him out of the game.
Right.
And that was different for them. It was their team. It was like a big boys club, and there was no official guy saying this is how it's done. And then I showed up and kind of did that. And then all these clubs every year since I've been doing it, when I started, it was 2000 to 2005, 5 years. They just kept going and kept getting more and more coaches and stuff.
Right. And over there, I have to believe that translated into success. How many did you win championships?
Yeah, we won in Germany. We won the region, which was we are a regional team, which is the 3rd division down from the highest league. And then in Sweden, the very next year, we won the championship. In Austria, we didn't win the championship, but there were some weird reasons why, I guess. There was a lot of animosity on the team, and it really hurt us. Yeah, there was people didn't want to work hard there. They, like our second baseman was a doctor who said, "Hey, I don't show up to practice. I just play the games." And I was like, man. "Well, that makes it hard for me as the coach."
Right.
But in the Czech Republic, which is probably the best time I had, we won the championship. We were in the 2nd highest league, and then we went to the highest league and the next year, and I stayed for one more season. And we didn't win that year because the teams were just a little bit better than our guys could handle it. But yeah, I won 3 out of 5 years, which was a lot of fun.
That's pretty awesome too. Yeah. Let me switch gears here for a minute. There's a couple of topics in Major League Baseball right now that have become fairly controversial. First one I want to ask you about is what is known as the Utley rule, where you can't make contact anymore sliding in the second base to take out a shortstop on a double play.
Yeah.
In our era, that was part of the game. How do you feel about that now?
Well, when I was in Little League, I was rounding third base, and the catcher caught the ball, and I laid him on his butt.
Yeah.
He dropped the ball, I was safe, and I jogged into the dugout thinking, that's baseball.
Right.
He stood in front of the plate. That's what happens. He lost this time. Next time I'll lose, right? And so part of me wants to not coddle everybody. Right? Because I feel like it's at a level, especially in the major leagues, it's a dangerous level. Balls are going 100 miles an hour. People are the biggest, strongest people in the world running at you back and forth. Like, I played middle infield most of my life. My job was to get out of the way of that guy, and if I didn't, I was getting hit.
Right.
And part of me doesn't want to lose that. I guess I understand why they want to lose that, because, you know, Utley, I guess, was out for the playoffs and all that stuff with a broken leg, but I kind of miss it. I kind of like the hard-nosed Pete Rose kind of thing.
Yes. Now there's another topic. You know, here we are in Los Angeles, and just a few nights ago, a rookie pitcher for the Dodgers, Ross Stripling, major league debut, he's pitching a no-hitter late in the game, and he was pulled after they got to 100 pitches. Now, do you think pitch counts are necessary? Are they helpful to keep players from being injured? What is your take on it?
Well, I definitely think that a coach or a manager has to know how much his pitchers are throwing and kind of plan for the longevity of their season or even career. But late in the game, a no-hitter, if he hasn't thrown 140 pitches, you know, something crazy, I mean, there's a good chance he'll never throw a no-hitter. Most pitchers that go in the major leagues never throw a no-hitter.
That's right.
And this is, I mean, I would be upset if they pulled me out of the game.
Right.
You know, and even if I had to drop out of the rotation for 1 week or whatever it was because I threw too many pitches, I think I'd rather have that no-hitter under my belt than the other way.
And you can never have a no-hitter taken away. It's just something that would be special for the rest of his career.
Forever.
I wanted to veer off a minute. And we talked about this earlier, and I've known you for a while now, and we met through music.
Right.
How did you make the transfer? Did you always play music, or is it something you did after you got back to America?
Well, I guess in college I had some music friends, and I started getting into playing music, and then basically what happened was I moved to LA for a different job when I was 30 years old, and then started getting a much bigger music scene out here because I'm originally from Kentucky, a much bigger music scene. So I met a lot of people, and I'd always started recording stuff. I'm kind of a technical kind of guy, so I'm nerdy in that sense, right? So I always liked recording and creating stuff, even if I couldn't play something, let's say, actually played on the guitar or on the drums, I would actually build it to make it sound like I played it, right? And it was music production, and so I got into that. And then when the economy kind of tanked, basically it was like, hey, your work is really slow, and you got to figure out what you can do. And then I saw all these different places that needed an intern, needed a person to come and help out and stuff, and so that's what I started doing. And then I've kind of got on at a studio, and I work out of there pretty regularly now.
Right. And you and I talked about this when you were finished playing baseball, and I was finished playing baseball. We got away from the game for a few years.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't think we even missed it. It was something we just didn't want to deal with. And what brought you back?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm all the way back.
Right.
Because when I got back from Europe, I didn't know any of the players anymore. A lot of the players were all new to me, and people were talking about, two years ago, the Rookie of the Year, you remember that season he had, and I didn't know any of it, right? Because it was so hard to follow. In Europe, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have any of these things to even keep up with it, and they're not watching it. And so I kind of fell out of it. But it's a love that will never go away. Because if I'm at a restaurant and there's a baseball game on, my wife gets mad because I keep looking up and like, oh, he's going to steal right here. He's going to steal right here. And that kind of stuff. And I don't even know the players. I don't even know some of the teams. managers and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a game. It's a physical, mental game where I just can't get away from it. I love the aspect of it. I play softball now just for fun. I'm 40 years old. I'm hurting all the time, but like this season I made like 3 diving catches, and people are just like, oh my gosh, you must have been good one, you
one day.
Yeah, you used to be good.
We have a lot of listeners here in Los Angeles, so tell me about your band. What's the name of your band?
The project.
Bother you guys? Good.
The project I'm working with right now is called the Super Tokes, and basically it's kind of a throwback sound. We do it's original band. We do like 50s to 90s kind of sounding music, a lot of harmonies, and fairly big band. We got 2 guitarists, drummer, 2 singers, keyboard player, and we play about 3 or 4 times a year, but mostly what we do is it's a recording project, and we're basically writing a lot of music, recording a lot of music, and kind of pursuing music in that sense more so than out doing shows. But we are doing a show May 15th at 3:30 at the Valley Glen Summer Festival.
Right. Okay, well, I want to thank you for being with us, Jason Siler. Very enlightening interview, a lot of fun. And will you join us again sometime?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
Promotional consideration has been paid for by the following. Good Shit, the book by Frank Maroney. All of us remember hearing stories, humorous anecdotes, and words of wisdom from happier times in our lives. And we said to ourselves, that's one I have to remember. Sadly, with the passage of years, we tend to lose those memories. Fortunately, Frank Maroney has been spending many years reminiscing and writing down such words from a golden era. Jokes, thought-provoking advice, and just plain great sayings. It's all here. And it is truly good shit. Eric Lenneberg, award-winning journalist. We here on The Fast Pitch would like to thank Frank Maroney and his book, Good Shit, released May 1st and is available on www.facebook.com/goodshitbook, and also available on the Book Patch. Good Shit by Frank Maroney, $7, available now. Here we are and back on the Fast Pitch Game 22. Doctor?
Here we are, ready to roll into one of my favorite segments and one of our listeners' favorite segments from all the feedback I get.
The Fast Pitch Fantasy League. And we want to also thank great sponsor, Good Shit.
Yes,
appreciate that. And we have read it and very happy to be supported.
I was proud to add that comment.
And yes, that was a great quote read by me of you. Imagine that.
Thank you.
That's
using my words and you read them well.
I know. Look at that twist there. So yes, we're going to get right into the Fast Pitch Fantasy League here. Great interview with Jason Siler, though.
That was a lot of fun. Good guy.
Just want to mention that really quick.
We'll have him back again.
Yes, awesome. Good stories there, and just great part 2 of that interview. So we're running short on time. Obviously, we can't. Got to jump right into this, Doctor. So following our great listener and winner, Zachary L, 2-3. Barely defeated him last week. I edged him out, so dropped him to 2-3. Can you imagine a parity in our league? We have Zachary 2-3, and then we have great listener Hammy. Jeff Hamilton is 0-5.
And
sadly,
he's close every week.
I know, and those are the 2 players in our league that are not tied at 3-2.
No,
so imagine the rest of the league.
I happen to be one of those.
Yes, the rest of the league, all 6 other teams are 3-2. So myself, yours, and all the other.
I have my Chicago Cubs to thank.
I know. So speaking of the Chicago Cubs, on our hot and cold list, Ben Zobrist definitely leads the top of that, and along with a lot of other Chicago Cubs, Dexter Fowler, Jake Arrieta, a lot of Cubs are on fire. So. Those would be guys you'd want to own. There's some fringe Cubs guys that could be available, but just the playing time maybe for a Javier Baez, who I've picked up and used in the past. Russell starting to heat up, but he's been cold, But you may want to watch some of those Cubs. If there's another injury like you had with Jason Hayward, you might have another guy squeak in there.
That's right.
This team produces offense, and it's built for that.
Offensive machine.
And that's what you need, I would say, dare I say, in any league, obviously. So. Speaking of which, Manny Machado obviously still on fire.
Still hot.
Roughneck Odor. He is blazing. I'm facing a team that has him, and I'm getting my butt handed to me. Part due to him and Todd Frazier, who's starting to heat up big time, who's the last couple of games is scoring double digits. He's been cold most of the year, though. Almeidas Diaz.
Almeida Diaz, and I picked him up just as a stopgap measure because I needed a shortstop, and the guy's second in the major leagues in batting right now.
I know, look at that. And
that's one of those sleepers.
And dare I say, we mentioned this here since the start of the draft here, you had been bemoaning the fact that I've taken Corey Seager from you. There's been a trade.
There has. I have received Corey Seager and Adrian Gonzalez and Matt Kemp.
So I overpaid to get Buster
I don't
Posey.
know. You got Buster Posey in that deal.
But I was also cleared a spot trading Agon, because our league we can only have 2 first basemen, and nobody had Chris Carter. So let me say this to tie this not just in our league. If Chris Carter is still sitting there in your league with 10 home runs, you may want to pick him up because
that's right.
Do not look at the stigma of last year. He is blazing a trail. I mean, obviously he's gone a little bit cold right now, as is Posey, but hopefully those guys.
They'll come around, and what a good move by the Brewers picking up Chris Carter.
Yeah, that was, and I looked at that too for what they paid him, and to just as a stopgap because they traded Adam Lind right to the Seattle Mariners.
That's right.
I don't even hear anything on Lind, so I mean that was probably an excellent move by the Brewers there. Craig Best is dancing the streets of El Mirage,
Arizona.
We didn't want to reveal that. Now he's going to be hunted.
He's going to be hunted by fans, is what he's going to be.
Yeah, I know. Cubs fans.
He's going to be hunted by people who love
week.
Craig, I'll tell you that.
Maybe. Lorenzo Cain on fire, right?
3 home runs
yesterday. 3 home runs yesterday as we record this.
But he was the last out that Chapman got for the save.
Yeah, I mean, looking at round out this list, you said Daniel Murphy still leading the top.
398, major league leading hitter, to the 394 of Almeida Diaz.
I know. So, I mean, if you don't have any of these guys that are available in your league,
Nick Castellanos,
you might want to pick them up. Nick Castellanos for sure. He's up there right there too. But I think he was batting 378 going into today as we record this. So hot bats going on right there in pitching, as we said earlier. Looking at pitchers too, Steven Matz. I just picked him up. If Steven Matz is available in your league, he's like 5-1, I think. For
young New York Mets pitcher.
Yeah, so he might be one of those fringe guys you might want to grab. Phillies pitchers, and most people would stay away from them. Phillies pitchers actually Nola, Vince Velasquez.
You realize the Phillies are only 2.5 games out of first place?
That is unbelievable, isn't it?
Man.
Yeah, that is just crazy. Cold. So let's start with those Dodgers.
So the Los Angeles Dodgers in general. As I mentioned, I covered a 7-game series 2 weeks ago. They scored 9 runs in 7 games.
I know. That's
that last game, Kershaw had to drive in his own run to win.
Yeah, that's not good. As we mentioned, Posey's
cold.
A little bit cold right now. He's 0 for his last 20, I believe. Chris Carter.
So a little bit slow, but he'll come around.
Will Myers, after a hot start of the year, you were not going to touch him after grabbing him last year.
Bad experience with him last year. I'll pass on him.
Tulo still not picked up in our league. So if you have Troy Tulowitzki in your league, you're probably suffering. I know he had a home run the other day, too. So he's still got home runs. It's just he's not giving you consistent production. Michael Brantley is off to a very slow start. I don't know if there's an injury. We don't know.
I don't know. Something's wrong.
Yesterday he was arrested. Today he's not playing.
Something is not right with Brantley. They're not releasing anything yet.
I think so. They're the Sox offense, Abreu not his same self. So along with Todd Frazier, who started heating up, he was cold. So yeah, well, you want to watch. You see those guys available and look at the point totals. I think that's an important thing to remember. Every league is scored differently. Not all of them are consistent. Look at what the important categories are. Look at not the ownership, because that's not going to mean anything if they're not getting the point totals in your league. You want to see who's scoring the most in your league, and that's what you want to grab. So when looking at a waiver move of any sort, we're looking at point totals because that's what really matters.
Right.
We have a different pitching, scoring league in our league where it's not as pitching focused. You get points, obviously, but what's important is look at your league's point total when you're making these moves and see what you're lacking, what you need. I mean, obviously, if you played like the previous 2 years we played in category wins. So
and you had to be on it every day.
And you need to define the guys in that specific category. If you're in a league like that, look to see who's got that category, obviously. So if stolen base is what you're lacking, you got to look at guys who are in there.
Wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, for sure. So don't be afraid to make moves. Obviously, some moves charge you for it. We're in a free move zone, but definitely you have to look at that and plan your moves accordingly. And your players got to play, so your draft is so important, as we said. So we want to make sure that you stay tuned to the fast pitch, obviously, as we go through the entire season and beyond. We hope to give you many fast pitch fantasy draft preview shows as we have in the past. So We're going to wrap this one up, Doctor. We have a great packed show here with that, obviously that part 2 with Jason Siler, all the packed news and our regular segments as usual. And we want to thank you, great fans, the ones who have gave us feedback. As always, we can be reached at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/thefastpitch, www.thebeststation.net, where all of our shows are archived, courtesy of our great producer, Craig Best. So we want to thank Craig. And obviously, again, if you haven't listened to Comic Casters Issue 5, Dr. Eric is there. It's a big plug for that, so we'll make sure that you listen to that if you want to hear a little bit more of the Doctor branching out. And big plug for Born Into Baseball, Jim Campanis Jr.'s book, Good Shit by Frank Maroney, and hopefully a lot of other great books that hopefully we can plug and to our great listeners. And this was a good show, Doc.
Great show.
Yeah, so for the Fast Pitch, Game 22, I have been your co-host, MC Brown.
I'm Eric Lenneberg.
And we want to thank you all for joining us.
And have a great week wherever you are.
You are buzzing on the Pop Stop. Thanks for listening to the best station, because you know good music comes from all generations and eras.
Good morning. This is the Third World Service. The time is 1000 hours, Greenwich Mean Time. And here is the news, which can also be heard on 248 meters, 1078 kilohertz on the medium wave.
Crisis in the night, no lighting in the ballroom. Voices come and go, talking Michelangelo down in the forest. The insect kingdom gathers, creatures getting restless. Trouble in the night, waiting for the monsoon. No lighting in the ballroom. Waiting for the monsoon. No lighting in the ballroom. Finger in the sky, they're jamming on the airwaves, searching for the traitor that blew the generator. Just too hot to waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. Waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. Blood flick voices, distortion and game, static interference, short wave rain, and there's hot repetition. Signals chime, but the feeble reception. I couldn't get the meantime. Waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. The generator, oh mother, couldn't find a candle, and this station's just too hot to waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. Waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. Blood flick voices, distortion and game, static interference, short wave rain, and there's hot repetition. Signals chime, but the feeble reception. I couldn't get the meantime. Waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom. Waiting for the monsoon, no lighting in the ballroom.
Good morning. This is the Third World Service, broadcasting to all the countries of Southern Africa on 85.5 meters VHF. The time is 1000 hours, Greenwich Mean Time. Here is the news read by Louise Baxter.